So I work for Lair Realty Partners, capital LAER, all capitals. I'm the chief sustainability officer for that company. And I run a real estate team called the Rethink 39 Group. So myself and my business partner, Phil Massa, lead 7 other agents that are all engaged, on this topic, right? And we're fortunate to be in a state and in a section of the state within greater Boston, southern New Hampshire, where I am right now, where not only is there a political will at the municipal level to move forward with things like net zero energy building codes and stretch codes, but we have the builders, we have the subs, which is really important. You've got to have engaged subs that know what they're doing to build a high performance home building envelope. And all of this is happening at a time when the advances in building science, including, US manufacturers building things like heat pumps and better insulation materials, and really, there's been a building science revolution that's happened over the last decade. I just happen to be at the right time and place and been thinking forward enough to be able to take advantage of the opportunity that's out there right now. We really focus on the new builders that are building, what I think are better labeled as high performance homes. They perform better than code built homes. So, that's really a big part of my job with the Rethink 39 Group, is being engaged with those builders in the area that are really doing this stuff and advancing that ball forward. But that doesn't mean that, traditional homes that haven't, greened up, if you allow me to use an expression from a popular book, there's kind of 50 shades of green, right? I mean, they range from LEED net zero energy properties, which we sell, new construction properties, to existing homes that are just changing to LED light bulbs, doing simple things. There's a number of different programs out there. And, now we have 100,000 homes in the state with solar PV on the rooftop as well. So that's a big part of the marketplace, whether it's existing new construction homes or commercial buildings, right? I mean, that part of the market is really moved forward. And you have to, as a realtor, I strongly believe that you have to be knowledgeable and competent in this part of the marketplace, right? It requires an understanding of the technology, but more importantly, how it's marketed correctly and how it's valued correctly. So homes, for instance, with host-owned solar PV, we don't just use comps for valuation. We can use an income approach through a tool called the PV value tool to add contributory value that is reflected in the appraisal report if you demand a qualified appraiser, which we certainly do. So there's some critical pieces to this. So, working with National Association of Realtors on this and National Association of Home Builders and the Appraisal Institute, we developed a document, a letter that you can download from the NAR Green website that is a letter that you can download as a Word doc, and you can put in the specific attributes, high performance attributes of a home. But essentially the letter goes to the lender for the buyer. So if I'm listing the home, I'm making sure that it's getting to the buyer's agent and the mortgage originator, right? And that letter essentially demands a qualified appraiser. So in this state, we have 12 appraisers that have gone through the Appraisal Institute's Valuation of Sustainable Buildings program. So there's a pretty rigorous 3-course set throughout the United States. It's very difficult to get the instructor up here as part of the problem, but a very rigorous course set for appraisers to understand valuation of high performance homes and commercial buildings. Again, that's Valuation of Sustainable Buildings Professional. So, one of those courses is solar PV, whether it's commercial or residential, and the other two kind of vary depending on if it's residential or commercial appraisers. But demanding that qualified appraiser is really a first step, right? Making sure that you get a qualified appraiser, because these homes are, they're homes certainly, but for instance, a home with solar PV on the rooftop has a power plant on the rooftop that's producing income for the homeowner. So it's a bit like a commercial transaction. One of the documents that's needed is the Appraisal Institute's Green Residential and Energy Efficient Addendum. It was originally created in 2011. I think the most recent version now is November 2019 with the last update that we made. But that's a 5-page document that goes into all of the possible high performance attributes that an existing or new construction home might have. That's a really critical document to pass on to the qualified appraiser, right? So that they have the information that they need to make the proposition to the bank underwriter about the additional contributory value. So if you follow this process, and if it has host-owned solar PV, you run the PV value tool, you get an income addition boost for these homes. If you follow the process, absolutely they reflect value. It depends on the client, right, and the price point. People do, and certainly at lower price points, though, people respond very strongly to low operating costs or zero operating costs. Actually sold a set of homes and set of new construction condos in 2018 in the Fort Hill section of Boston. And those condos were beyond net zero, they're energy positive. And they were getting so many credits through the solar state incentive, which at that point was called SRECs, SRECS. The incentive was so strong that for the first 10 years of their own home ownership, they were getting checks from the utility company that equaled their condo association fees for the first 10 years of their home ownership. So not only were they paying literally zero, or that was the projection by our energy modeler, and it seems to be the case, but they were getting checks from the utility company that paid their homeowner association costs. So, that was an interesting project too, because we were listed at a pretty aggressive price point at that time in Fort Hill, and we were competing against new construction down the street that was listed at the quote unquote correct price of $375 per square foot. That's what buyers agents at that time would have said was the right price for Fort Hill, $375 a square foot. We were listed for $450 a square foot. So we were worried, the developer, Jonathan, and I were worried. I knew that the appraiser would see the value, but would buyers? We have to, obviously both sides have to be, in agreement on this. And we sold all 4 of our units before 2 of the 7 units down the street sold. So we're seeing consumers, speak with their wallets about the value proposition when it's properly explained to them and we're marketing it correctly. So I would encourage any homeowner to start by contacting their utility provider and asking about the energy efficiency programs that are available, the incentives that are out there. One great website for this is dsire.usa, I think .org. So it's the database for state incentives on renewables and energy efficiency, dsire.usa. And that has a map on it. You can click on your state, and it opens up the incentives that are offered for residential and commercial building owners that the state provides. And of course, it ties you to the federal incentives as well, which are quite strong. So that's a great place for the existing homeowner to start to green up their home. And then when they decide to put their home for sale, make sure they go to Green Dot Realtor and search for a green designated agent in their zip code that hopefully will be aware of how to market the improvements that have been made as well.